Elevation Nation, we have a special guest. It's someone who I would say is pretty similar to how Parker and myself operate every single day. He's someone who loves people, loves connecting others, and is really at the root of so many beautiful connections. We've already met him in the past life, but we had to make it official by welcoming him to Elevation Nation. Daniel Kramer, he is the head of business development for JUUCE. That is one of many things that this young man does. He's super involved, specifically in the Cleveland community right now. Go Brownies. Sorry, Parker's going to hate that one as a Ravens fan. But Daniel, this is long overdue. We are so excited and honored to welcome you to the nation and learn a little bit about you, brother. Welcome.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So glad to be here.
We'll dive into it.
We'll just cut it off.
Yeah,
just cut it off. Yeah. Let me jump in. All right. Yeah, I'm pumped for this, Daniel. It's great to finally welcome you into the nation. Obviously, Sam and myself know a ton about JUUCE, and we've been on a few virtual calls, but not a podcast. So we officially welcome every single elevator to the nation, and we start out with one question. You might know it or not. What we're going to ask you is, who are you? Tell us your elevator pitch.
Awesome. So my name is Daniel Kramer, head of business development at JUUCE, like Sam was mentioning. And JUUCE, we are bringing portable charging accessibility across the country with these portable phone charging kiosks. My background, I was an executive recruiter for about 4 years, and that taught me so many different things. We were placing executives, working on strategy with placing CFOs, CEOs, head of engineering for robotics and automation companies. So a ton of different experience, very diverse. And it really helped me hone in that natural skill of being able to go talk to anybody and make them feel comfortable and make them happy. And it took that skill and really helped me convert that into the business world, which has led to a lot of our success. Always working on different projects, whether it's in the community, friends, restaurants, or, somebody opening up a new business, always like kind of lending my hand. I love kind of the grind and kind of seeing things through from start to finish. So always doing something new, but JUUCE is definitely the main one on the list.
I think it's hard when you love what you do, right? And it's just so apparent when we met David and then you, Daniel. JUUCE is not just like, oh, this is a company that I work for. You guys truly believe in your mission. You truly believe in what you're doing. And I think, again, why so many similarities between all of us and why you are certainly an elevator is Parker and I are best friends, but I bring up something about Elevation Nation, and he does the same every single time I talk to him. And it's not that we don't have a friendship anymore. It's because we care so passionately about what we're building and where we're trying to go. And I find that it's probably similar with you and David and all the rest of the team working at JUUCE is you guys believe in what you're building. This isn't some big company that you're just spending your days getting a paycheck. You guys want to ride this JUUCE wave to the top. Is that kind of a fair assumption of why you're so invested in all your time in JUUCE right now?
Yeah, and it's crazy. It like started from day one, and Dave and I actually weren't super close friends. Like we met, we had a mutual connection, and he reached out to me when I joined, and we've become very close. We work well together, but it's that vision. It's funny you say that because about 2 weeks ago, somebody asked me, how do you stay motivated? How do you wake up every day and like stay motivated? And I don't sleep much. I work a ton. I'm always doing something new. And I've never really thought about that. Like it's never been a thought. It's never been a lot of times I go to bed at 4 a.m. and my alarm's going off in 4 hours and I wake up in an hour and a half and I'm like, what about this project we're working on? And, jump back in. Like I'm excited. Every day it's like super easy to get out of bed. And like I said, it's that vision, that bigger picture to do something really cool with people you like doing it with.
So where does that excitement come from? The excitement to stay up till 4 a.m. Is it you know what? This is kind of like, I'm going to talk through this a little bit more. Is Is it like a fear that you're not doing enough and you want to wake up or stay up late to get that thing done? Or is it really the passion and excitement that you have from JUUCE and what you're building that keeps you motivated till 4 a.m. and then waking back up 4 hours later to get going again?
Yeah, it's definitely more on that excitement piece. There's times where it's more on the fear and letting people down. Like our partners are everything to us. So there's times where things aren't going as well as they should be. And, that's the motivating factor. But most of the time it's just the excitement of, new projects, the pace we're growing. There's always something new. There's new technology. There's new team members, new resources we bring in, and it's like excited to utilize them or implement. We have a large distribution network of over 60 distributors across the country. And, if we find something that works well or a new product or whatever it is, it's exciting. Like I can't wait to call every single one of them and tell them about it. So it's like definitely the exciting piece. And I like the challenge. I don't like necessarily the easy road. I like taking things with some obstacles in the way, but if it leads I guess at the top of the mountain, it's worth it in the end. So a lot of factors to it.
I think, we all have that fuel, that inherent drive for why we do something. And for some people, it stays the same throughout their lives. For other people, it changes periodically. In Elevation Nation, we have a concept that we call mental fortitude. And mental fortitude for us is self-awareness, knowing who you are, your vision, and then accountability, your fuel, really what drives you to get out of bed every single day, right? And for you, it sounds like, you like the challenge, you like overcoming adversity, and I think that's many elevators. There's always an easier route to take. But is that going to be the most fulfilling road to success? And Parker and I have had this debate with some other elevators, is an elevator is a certain type of person. You have to be obsessed with going outside your comfort zone. The status quo is not for you. You love people. You love pushing yourself to new limits. And that's not for everyone, and that's okay. I think when we first started this podcast, we were trying to preach of, you have to push harder. You have to do amazing things, like work out hard, go all in on your passion project, right? Like for some people, just chill. You just want to have a 9 to 5 and you want to spend time on the couch and that's what makes you happy and fulfilled, fine. But I think for us three, and what unites us and why I think we hit it off right away, is there is a unique subset of individuals out there in the universe that are these elevators that do have that inherent drive and that fuel for something else. And I think it's cool, Daniel, hearing why and how you've really developed that fuel on your own. And go ahead,
just
Marks.
to add in there too is like, Daniel, we've had, you're going to be elevator like 180 something, right? We've interviewed a lot of people who have this same go-getter mindset. A lot of entrepreneurs. I think 80% of people we've welcomed to Elevation Nation are entrepreneurs. And I think what is really fascinating is, yes, we want to go and push and take our things to the next level and elevate. But what's really apparent in all of the people we've had conversations with and the people in Elevation Nation is that they know who they are really, really well. They know what they bring to the table. They know what excites them. They know what they're good at. They also know what they're not good at. And they build their vision for their future around knowing who they are. And they're so clear in that. And then the third piece too, they know what fuels them. They know what they're driven by and where they want to go based on who they are, what they want, and what drives them. And it's so cool that there are young people out there, right, who have that path, who have that clear trajectory on how they want to elevate. And then they go put their foot forward and execute, and that's what helps them get to the next level and continuing to make shit happen. It's freaking cool. So I'm curious, a question for you is, I'm sure you're meeting with a ton of people every single day. I'm sure you
meet with us like 4 times a week, so I know your schedule.
You got stuff happening all the time. How are you holding yourself accountable each day to not only do well for the business, but also do well for Daniel Kramer, the person?
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many. It depends the situation, but I mean, I've always there's like kind of the do right, what's right mentality, right? Like do what's right, treat your partners right, and give them everything you can, and that's what we do. Like we don't give up until the problem's solved, or if somebody's unhappy with an initial experience, like we won't stop until they love juice, they love working with us, and they're successful. um so I think just that accountability is kind of a natural effect there. So like holding yourself, we want to there's the if they're happy and successful, right, then I did my job. um and then for myself, the drive, we talked about the stuff before, but the driving force for me is like people interactions. That's what gets like that ultimately gets me out of bed in the morning. Is people, those interactions, um, and couple, I don't even know, 5, 6 years ago, I had an experience. I messed up my knee. I had ACL, both meniscus, MCL surgery, and I was out for a while. I was on like, pretty strong medications for like a week or two. And after that, I was just down. I was like depressed for like 6, 8 months. I couldn't do much. Um, and that kind of, and everybody was helping me. And when I came to the realization that like when I couldn't do things for other people, when I was kind of crippled and stuck sitting there, like that's what kind of caused that like downward spiral of being, depressed and not being able to fulfill that. And then once I started being able to do things for people, and like that was the driving force. So my accountability is just, it's hand in hand with working with our partners and the people around us. Because, that's what drives my happiness and accountability and success, is like making sure the people, work or personal, are taken care of, and I guess, enjoy their experience, whether it's on a personal level or not.
I know Sam's going to jump in here, but I did have a quick question. It's like, we've also talked about with many other guests about people pleasing and being a people pleaser, and it has a negative connotation to it. Do you call yourself a people pleaser, and is that a negative thing to you?
I'd say most people would. I'm on the fence because I do it, but it's not just for other people, and that's what I learned in that experience is I'm a people pleaser for myself. Like there's no better feeling than when you do something for somebody and they tell you you changed their lives, or if somebody's going through something with their family or with work and a job, and you are, there for them when they're upset, and and they call you a month later and say like, I don't know if I'd be here today without you, or my business would probably not be in business if you didn't help us out or connect us with this person. Like, I mean, I've literally goosebumps talking about it. But those are the moments that like feed me. So like, yes, I'm doing it. I'm a people pleaser, but it's in my best interest as well.
I love that answer, man, because it's something I've struggled with myself. And I think I've gotten better at it, where if it's not going to please me and make me happy, then I'm okay not being a people pleaser. To the point where I've had to make really hard decisions. And Parker knows some of them, whether that's saying no to bachelor parties, to, weddings, whatever it may be. It's hard to make everyone happy all the time. And I think it's certainly a balance and something that takes experience and practice to understand what makes you fulfilled and happy, what's worth the sacrifice, and what's not. And so obviously, Daniel, I think you have incredible emotional intelligence. Your EQ is off the charts. And for a lot of young people out there, some are born with it, but a lot of others maybe aren't as confident yet in who they are, how to communicate with other people, that emotional intelligence, but they want to be. They know it's important for their life, for business, for their careers. Do you have any tips to share with Elevation Nation, who's a lot of high school, college, and recent graduates, on how to become better with interacting and communicating with people?
Yeah, just right. Anything out there, it's like any sales training, anything like that. It's about listening, understanding, and part of it, like you have to care. And a lot of times it's like you will, and sometimes you have to get that good feeling once. You have to help someone and get it in return. I've seen it 100 times where people a little more selfish and then they do something, they get it back, and then they start to grow that type of mindset. Um, but I think it's just caring. Curiosity is huge. I'm always curious. I love talking to people, hearing whether they came from nothing or a wealthy family or played sports, didn't, and kind of learning their path about how they got to you know where they're at today. And every journey is so different, and you can get to the same place with a different path. Like everything, it's so interesting to learn about these people. So I think it's just to be curious, and care about what people are saying to you and actually um, listen. And it goes a long way. And then also like the kindness thing. I can talk to somebody that's screaming their head off in any situation, and they'll be giving me a hug by the end of it. I can promise you that. I don't care what situation. Um, so like caring and making people feel good about themselves. So I think just like that energy you bring, it really matters because if you go up and interact with people and just talk to as many people as possible, find the confidence there. So another thing, multiple levels to it, but I think just like you treat people right, you smile, you're kind, and listen to them, like you'll build a lot of really strong, good relationships over time.
Well said. Sam and I are curious people, and that led us to creating a podcast because we were curious about how other people have elevated their mental fortitude to get to where they are today. And now we're 350 plus episodes later. And I've said this to Sam before. I think everyone should have a podcast. And people think that a podcast is a place, an avenue to make money, or you could have a podcast and not interview anyone, and it's just you on a mic, and that could be your diary, and you don't even need to release it to the world. I think it's an incredible way to explore what you're thinking, but to your point about curiosity, it's an incredible way to meet people and hear from them. And so, Daniel, maybe in the future there could be a Juice podcast, I don't know, where you're the main host and you're interviewing all of your partners about their journey, or I don't know. Sounds pretty interesting.
We've had those talks before. One day.
I like to hear
Well,
it.
you know who can help you with that. You know some guys, some
I
friends
don't
that
know
would be happy to
anybody.
set you up. I think, Daniel, I love the advice on how to be a people person, right? And I'm going to toot my own horn here for a second. I'm very lucky. I think I was born loving people and being able to communicate well. Funny story, if you want to hear it. I was in preschool, so I don't know how old I was. And I went up to my preschool teacher randomly. My mom told me this story the other day. I went up to the teacher and I said, "Hello, Mrs. Gibbert. Isn't it great to be alive today?" Like, who the says that as a little kid? So I don't take
Right.
any credit for just being able to kind of be mature and talk to people. I think my parents helped me get there and raise me like that. But I do think it is a skill that you can learn for those that aren't born with it. And you gave some really great tips all on energy. A couple more tips that I want to add, being genuine, like you said, being empathetic to other people. And Daniel, in talking about energy, you can be the one that's leading the energy in the room, or you can understand that you need to match the energy in the room. And I think when Parker and I came out of college, being leaders at our university, in our fraternity, tour guides, in the business school, we were used to being the leaders and leading that energy. Then you go into consulting in the real world, you're the lowest person on the totem pole. Being that little, staff coming into a meeting, being like, "Hey, everybody, like I have these ideas for that." That's actually not the energy you want. You're going to piss a lot of people off and rub them the wrong way. And so I think learning that balance of when to lead the charge on energy and when to match the energy of other people is a really good skill in just societal awareness. So there are so many different tips that we could give on being a people person. Daniel, you certainly hit on a ton. I guess one question I have is a little bit more tactical on people skills. which is you are fantastic at following up with people, staying on top of things, and managing and maintaining those relationships. Do you have a tool you use? How do you make sure to stay so relevant in the top of people's minds? For Parker and I, Parker knows anytime I'm walking somewhere, I call someone. I have a call list of people that I haven't talked to in a little while, and I just go down that call list and hit them up. Is there a way that you remember to just stay in touch with friends and family and potential colleagues?
Yeah, it's tough. Like at work, obviously, I've got spreadsheets and all of that, and I have the same thing. I have lists of people. Like if I'm ever going on a drive, I'll literally print out a piece of paper and be like go through the list, check in, um, and I frequently go through like my messages and contacts and stuff, and I'll pick somebody out from I haven't talked to in a year and a half, and just be like, "Hey man, hope you're doing well. Would love to grab a drink soon or whatever." So I'm pretty good at just kind of like cycling through and making sure everybody's top of mind and people I care about can reach out. But for personal, definitely no um, specific way I go about it. Just kind of keep up, and I think I'm always thinking about these people, right? You see something on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and LinkedIn, they got a new job. Even if you haven't talked to them in 3 years, shoot them a text, say congrats. Would love to, link up soon. And then for work, it's, just staying organized, using spreadsheets and calendars.
So I have a question on this, because sometimes I feel like as I've gotten older, and I think just by nature of getting older, your circles don't they get smaller, right? You're spending time a lot more focused than I feel like I did when I was younger in my 20s or even in college, right? You're meeting all these different people, and there's just always so many people going on. And sometimes I feel like some relationships that felt like genuine relationships have become transactional. And I don't like that. I think it's challenging. But sometimes that's just what it is, and that's what it's become. And if both people are agreeing that that's where the relationship is going, isn't that okay? I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to make it not transactional with certain people.
Yeah, I agree, but also there's like a time to rip the Band-Aid off. Like I'm a people pleaser, but I'm also can be a hard ass. Like I'm not hey, if you don't want to talk, then we don't have to talk. There's a lot of people on this planet, you can be replaced. So, it goes both
Yeah.
ways.
That's so true. It needs to go
I
both
also,
ways.
if you get disrespected, or something like that, like you don't need people. 360 million people in the US, right? Like you can replace just about anybody out there. So it goes kind of both ways. So not the people pleaser approach there, but
I also think sometimes transactional is okay if it's respectful, right? Like Daniel and David and Parker, myself, I would say are friends as well, because we kind of have mentored each other. We've been there for each other. But there are some people that come on, we learn about their business. They want connections. It's cool. They're busy. We're busy. We make connections. We call it a day. And it's a transactional relationship, but it's strategic. And it's different, I think, than the relationship of just being there for someone else. And I'm okay with that. I think you can only invest so much energy and love into, so many people for what you have time for. And if some people have to take a different type of relationship, I think that's okay. And it's finding the ones that maybe are, going to grow or foster. And I'll give a funny example that I haven't even told Parker yet. I was touring an apartment building last week. I'm in the elevator and it's going up. There's a couple people that live there. And I'm like, hey, do you live in this building? And the guy turns around and like gives me a look and he's like, yeah, why? And I was like, oh, like I'm just looking at some units. I figured I'd ask if you live here. Parker, I haven't told you this. It was Kazra, who we met 5 years ago at a networking event in New York City. We had a couple calls after that and stayed in touch for maybe a year or two.
It was him?
He said Sam, and I was like, holy shit, no way. Because I saw he had posted on LinkedIn about 6 months ago, I'm moving to DC. I commented on it and said, let me know when you get here. Would love to welcome you to the city. But he had just moved in, ran into him. I'm going to end up moving into his building. I then ran into him a second time a week later, walking his dog. So it's just funny how the world works out. And at the time, Kaz, great guy, but it was transactional. We were talking about Elevation Nation and tips on how we could build it bigger and what he was doing with his business. And he had a networking community he was growing. Now that went from transactional to a full genuine relationship where I'm asking him about moving it. I texted him. I said, hey, is this side of the building a good side? Does it get too much like relationships can change, ebb and flow. And I think one of the tips that I would give to people is obviously you've heard don't burn bridges. Yeah, don't do anything bad, but also like it's okay if relationships change over time as you've, adapted, evolved, and grow. So I just thought that was a funny relationship example that literally happened to me last week.
Wild.
It's a good example. Nothing is more revealing, too, of your people than having a wedding, by the way, gentlemen. I had a wedding, and you have to make cuts, just saying, and it's not fun. So, and I had a
I can't imagine.
laying down the hammer.
and I had a big wedding, so it was a tough process, and that makes you really think about the people in your life.
Did you get anybody that reached out to you pissed off? I'm just curious. Now I want to stir up some drama.
Okay, so we're going to go to the rapid fire section. That's the next section of the pod.
No way. Oh, sorry, Parker.
All right, so rapid fire section, Daniel, is we're going to shoot some fast questions at you, and first thing that comes to mind, we want to hear what your answer is. All right, we'll start with someone. We're going to start with a crazy one. I've never gone crazy, like so random, but like I feel like let's just do it. But we'll go back and forth a few times. You ready?
Let's do it.
What's your go-to?
Brie. If we're talking if we're talking on a cracker, like simple, boring. I don't know if we're talking
With
on
some
a
like
burger.
honey? With like honey?
Yeah. Or baked.
Baked.
Like baked
really?
brie wrapped in like a croissant. I'm a foodie, by the way. I've
That's
been cooking
pretty
since
good.
I was 5.
Parker really went random. That's not even on our show notes. He pulled that out of nowhere.
I don't know. I was
That was a good
feeling
rapid
that.
fire. That's
I was
like
feeling
from She's
that.
the Man. She's like, what's your favorite cheese? All right, this one's slightly more related, but you said you're a foodie, Daniel. Your company is called JUUCE. What's your favorite type of juice?
Orange.
Orange. That is very basic. I was expecting something
Very basic.
off the rails. Okay.
Crazy.
A good
Very
fresh
basic.
squeezed OJ.
When I was in Bali for my honeymoon, I had honeydew juice. I've never even like thought about that for a second. I also never liked honeydew. Had this juice. Now my favorite fruit, honeydew.
There you go.
Grapefruit, by the way. Really
It was
good.
transactional at first, and now it's your favorite fruit.
Now we have a relationship there, and literally I'm obsessed. Okay, next rapid fire. What is a dream place that you would want to secure a juice deal at?
Say first, now it's not First Energy, but the Brown Stadium. It's my home away from home.
The new stadium or the old stadium? That's gonna
Both.
both. We like both. Okay, Browns fan, I see.
Huge Browns fan. I can't wait to put Parker and Daniel in a group chat when you guys play each other and just stir the pot a little bit.
Let's
It's
not
gonna
talk
be
about
so
football
fun.
right now.
I love it.
Rough
I love
subject. Rough
0-2.
subject.
0-2. He's hurting. Even I texted Parker this week and I don't even care about football. And I was like, bro, are you all right? Like, not looking
It
good.
was bad. We're back. We have
Yeah,
a
you're
chance
back?
to redeem ourselves.
Okay, we'll see about that.
15 more games.
I guess so. Long season. Daniel, as you can see behind Parker and myself, we love to read. Do you have a book recommendation for Elevation Nation?
Don't read a ton of books. I'm like an article. I like getting quick information. But the last good book I read is business related, but Way of the Wolf. It's Jordan Belfort. It's like, it's not the same as Wolf on Wall Street. It really dives into like the different levels of, selling at a high level, and is really, really interesting, and definitely learned a ton from there.
Interesting. I've never heard of that. I think he wrote it himself, and then
Correct.
very cool.
I've never read a book for pleasure. It's only been learning purposes.
Okay. Is that pleasure? It might be.
It is, to
Interested
some
in
extent.
Learning. Yeah.
My attention spans, I have so much energy, I can't sit there and read 300 pages.
Fair enough. Yeah, you do it in bite-sized pieces. Next thing you know, you're done the book, but over a period of time. All right, last question, Daniel, for you. It's an important one. We ask every single elevator who joins Elevation Nation this question to end the podcast around the mental motto. A mental motto is a phrase, a quote, a slogan that you live your life by. Every single elevator within the nation, people around the country have mental mottos. So we're curious, Daniel, what's your mental motto?
It's something I got from my last company. It was kind of their core value, and it's stuck. It's all over my desk and everywhere. It's inspire greatness by helping others win. So I think that's a good one to live by. Kind of speaks for itself.
Not transactional. That's a transformational relationship right there. Inspire greatness by helping other people win. I think, Daniel, that just ties the episode together so beautifully, because that's how you live your life, being genuine with people, trying to be kind, being a good human being, and just caring for others. And it's certainly showed you that your relationships are paying off. And I'm glad that we finally get to welcome you to the nation officially and get you in here in our community. This is just the beginning. I think Parker has something he wants to show you, though.
You want a book that you are going to read and enjoy that is a business book that is one of my favorite books, Give and Take by Adam Grant. Adam Grant is a professor at the Wharton Business School at the University of Pennsylvania. He wrote this book all about how the power of giving can lead you to more success than being a taker. And Sam and I are going to send this to your address. Well, as a thank you, it's going to be some homework we're going to send you to help you elevate, but I think you're going to like it. He gives some really awesome examples of real world situations in business that the givers always win over the takers. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Daniel, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining us, giving us some time, giving us some wisdom. You are officially welcomed into Elevation Nation, and we are so glad to have you. Thank you for joining us, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, and excited for the future of working with each other and, maybe some more podcasts down the road.
Amen to that. Until next week, Elevation Nation. Peace.